You can make a difference. By becoming a supporter of our channel, you not only help us thrive, but also become an active part of our community. The link to join us is in the description. I don't receive things on a silver platter, as is commonly said when things come easily. God gave us freedom as a gift. I carry it within me. You carry it within you. We all received it. Now, being free is another matter. It's like having a plant that needs to grow through the care we give it. When you water it, when you fertilize it, so that all the potential in the seed develops, and that seed can become the tree that potentially exists within it. The same thing is true of freedom. Being able to say, I am free today, means acknowledging that you are in the process of liberating your own freedom. Because only those who possess themselves can offer themselves. Only those who are truly free can experience this. This freedom might be what fascinates me most in life, because sometimes I find myself a prisoner of such childish feelings, like jealousy and comparison. Increasingly, life leads me to understand, from my experience and the experience of those around me, that the true experience of God places us in a context of maturity that frees us from all the burdens and ties that childishness imposes on us. Sometimes we don't understand that the lower realities of our lives, the passions of the soul, need to be mastered from top to bottom, not bottom to top. So it's really an exercise, a spiritual exercise, to raise the drawbridge of the inner castle and say, okay, let's meet these folks who inhabit me. Often, our love, instead of protecting, it unprotects because it infantilizes. It's often marked by a lack of reality in love. It's like a person in love who can't see reality. A passionate mind, a mind very involved with another person who has just arrived, is a danger. It's dangerous to make wrong decisions. Passion blinds. I always like this distinction. Passion is the antechamber of love. We can only say we love after extinguishing all the incendiary fires of passion, because they are dangerous. And you have the right not to like someone, Fabio. We have the right not to like someone. Liking is one thing, loving is another. I can sympathize deeply with you. We have a delightful connection, but I don't have to love you because I didn't choose to love you. Loving is a choice. Sometimes in our daily lives, we don't know this difference, and we don't even give ourselves the right not to like someone. If someone is almost dying and needs my help, I go there, I am a Christian, I serve Christ, but I don't need to eat popcorn at the cinema with a person. Of course, you can set a limit. Yes, with affection. Love includes respect. That's what you're saying. I won't harm you, I won't boycott you. But on the other hand, I also don't have the obligation to socialize, to establish this daily bond, to exchange phone numbers. Sometimes people are very confused. It's real immaturity in understanding Christianity. Oh, how many times have I suffered from this immaturity? I have been so immature. Oh my God. So much that today it is easier for me to understand when someone is immature with me. Sometimes I meet people absolutely on the margins of the Christian experience, still based on obligations, suffocated by the obligations that happen to exist within Christianity. And sometimes I meet some people so free, who seem to have found the deepest aspects of Christianity. You spoke of the stages we need to dive into to reach what is most untamable in us. And Christianity is a movement precisely that goes through conquering what is untamable to then live the freedom of being who you are. Discipline is the word of today. We are increasingly immersed in a context that relieves us of discipline, and this is very sad. It's very sad when we identify that our children are becoming strange. They're becoming strange to any kind of sacrifice. Because life has to be like this. Life, we have to make it easier. Fine, today's conveniences are very good, but they cannot take away from us the opportunity to live asceticism and the discipline that make every man, every woman find this balance, this maturity. How the world today stimulates us outward all the time. How difficult is inner life these days? It's a costly task. My therapist always said, we think that inner life comes for free, comes in the life package. I was born, so I already have everything internally installed. It's as if I had several programs to run, but I need to understand how they work. And really stopping talking or being away from people is still not being alone. It's still not being silent inside. Sometimes we think we don't have control over our thoughts. Yes, we do have control over our thoughts. Thoughts need to be educated at a high level. We need to elevate the level of thought with good content. Oh, my head is full of nonsense. For intellectual life, you need to educate thought through concentration. Spiritual life is no different, right? Sometimes we pray asking God, take this out of my head. And then our Lord sometimes provides us with a good movie, a good book, good music to educate and channel our thoughts, and we end up fighting in an inner ignorance about how to deal with it. And in fact, we need to live that reality of the superior dominating the inferior. So I have my instincts, my emotions, my feelings that are more conscious, my thoughts, my will, which are decisions based on my thoughts. And then comes the spirit. I can even place will and thought here. No one, nothing can enslave the mentality of someone who truly wants to be free. It's like in that movie, The Shawshank Redemption, when that man spent so many days in solitary confinement, imprisoned there. When he got out, they asked him, how did you manage to stay there? He said, it was easy. I listened to music all the time. Then the other said, but how? There's no music there. It's all in my head. It's here. It's in the head that we are liberated. That's why it's here that God happens. When God enters my mentality, when God changes the way I look at myself, the way I look at the world, He will naturally change the way I look at those around me. He will change the way I see my restrictions, my losses, and then there is no other destiny to seek, to conquer, to experience, but satisfaction. Despite so many difficulties, we can smile and say, life is worth living because my head is helping me make it worth it. Father Fabio, why is it so much easier to hurt the people we love than to hug them and say kind things? It's because, in reality, human aggressiveness is undeniable. Everyone has aggressiveness, even the sweetest people. Those who speak calmly, they are full of aggressiveness. Some control it more, others control it less. Some control it too much, and suddenly it explodes because aggressiveness is a very positive impulse. We can't think that aggressiveness is just a bad thing. No. Aggressiveness is an impulse that even helps us succeed in life. In many moments of our lives, we lost because we lacked aggressiveness. That impulse to move forward, to overcome, to deal with the difficulties that are part of us. People who are too soft don't like that constant nourishment. Nothing is good. It gets better one day, the next day, it's not good again. These people lack aggressiveness, a positive aggressiveness, which is this survival impulse, which we inherited. This is ancestral in us. Often we take out our aggressiveness on the people we love because we are unprepared to deal with this aggressiveness. And today we know, we talked about this before finishing the first segment, we are living in a time of great tension. We are overly demanded because we have many possibilities. Humans end up getting lost among all these possibilities. And this generates a great anxiety, which is the feeling of not reaching, of not living what they need to live. And it is natural that at a certain moment, this aggressiveness will be directed at those closest to us. Because you can't. A very simple example. Sometimes a guy is at work really wanting to hit his boss, but he can't. He will get home stressed with everything he experienced, and his poor family will take the brunt of it. And that's where the issue of our control comes in, folks. We need to control this aggressiveness a little. And I'm not saying something I don't need to hear myself, okay? Because many times I am uncontrolled with my aggressiveness. So I need to be very careful not to let my aggressiveness come out at the wrong time, in the wrong way. I need to direct my aggressiveness into my books, my reflections, my physical activity that I make a point of doing. That's where I need to channel my aggressiveness so that I can treat people fairly. I can't take out on my mother the anger I carry within me, which is natural to my being. And you know how difficult the mother-child relationship is, because it is the place where these aggressions are very much on the surface. Maybe because it is the closest bond we have. With all due respect to the father, the closest bond, I think, is with our mother. And it is natural that our greatest difficulty is with her as well. It is very common to find children who have a hidden hatred for their mother, a hidden hatred for their father, and do not have the psychological conditions to assume this aversion, because in the name of this romantic love we are raised with, that a child should never oppose their mother, that a child should never say, "I hate you." It is natural that at a certain moment in life, our aggressiveness makes us experience this hatred towards the people we love most. Because hatred is the opposite of love. It's the same thing. Psychology teaches us that love and hatred come from the same impulse, the same source. So, managing this aggressiveness today is a necessity. Because you must have seen this happen many times, that sometimes a person is capable of pulling out a gun and killing another person in traffic because of the intolerance of that moment of aggressiveness. So, for us not to need to kill each other, for us not to go around slapping each other, we need to discover where we can channel this blessed aggressiveness in the right way, in a positive way. If you have a lot of aggressiveness in you, channel this aggressiveness to work in your favor. Your creative process, your dynamic, your entrepreneurial spirit, channel it there. This is not magical. It is not overnight, but with awareness, I know I am aggressive. So I need to be careful that my aggressiveness doesn't end up harming others. I personally asked God during this Lent for the gift of silence, and it's not just the silence of speech, it's the silence of, the written word, that need to immediately respond to others, to everything that bothers you, to everything you find invasive. I want to have the right to be silent. I don't want to have to explain everything all the time. This is a right we need to preserve. At home, sometimes it's like this. Sometimes in a relationship, how many times are you demanded by the other? You have the right to be silent. You have the right to make your silence. And the other needs to understand that your silence might be the moment you are taking care not to say what you wouldn't want to say. So, the control of this aggressiveness today needs to go through this experience of inner life, as we talked about in the previous segment. The inner life, this experience of cultivating who you are, of having your moment of relaxation every day, even if it's just 10 minutes, folks. I particularly think it must be very difficult to live in a very crowded house where you don't have the right to your personal silence. Isn't it difficult? You who live with many people in the house. At home, I have my space. There are the people who work with me, my friends who visit my house, the people from my close circle, my family. But I am very reserved. When I want my silence, I don't even make an effort to be polite. Look, folks, I'm leaving. I withdraw because I need this spiritual life, this inner life, because otherwise I become worse than I already am. And I don't want to. I don't want to be worse than I am. I don't want to get worse. I don't want to move backward. I want to move forward. So I want to discover everything in my behavior, in my choices that will favor my progress. You need to do the same thing. It's your right. But here at home, it's difficult. Create your space. Create your routine. Discover in your daily life a way to cultivate this inner life. Some people read the gospel of the day. I think the gospel of the day is an excellent way to create inner life. Because when you commit to reading the gospel of the day, you have the daily liturgy. You can follow it through the Bible in year A, year B, year C. You read the gospel of the day, you stay in communion with Jesus' word, and at the same time, create your 10-15 minutes. You read the gospel and make your reflection, your moment of silence, which will help a lot in controlling this aggressiveness. Then there are other things that help as well. Physical activity, as we have already mentioned, the prayer group, the sharing group, reading. My God, how a book calms us down, folks. Books are fantastic. Blessed is the person who learned from childhood the pleasure of reading. They will be much more peaceful in old age than those who don't like to read, because it occupies the time, right? When you are getting old, what will you do? In old age, we will have much more time, because you will stop working, you will be retired. I can't wait. You won't be in the rush anymore. So you will have all the time in the world to cultivate yourself. What a wonder, having extra time for this inner life to shape your routine in a way that favors channeling all these positive impulses, like aggressiveness, which, if placed wrongly, becomes a tool of destruction. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey at Path of Faith. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content like this.